What's really good, my people? It's jam coming at you in 2015. Nowadays our minds are bombarded with negativity in the media. So I'm on a mission to find some really authentic role models that the youth could look up to. Today, I'm interviewing a very inspirational poet. He's an 18-year-old who has already published poetry in 18 books. On 25th March 2013, he made his debut television appearance via Living the Life on Islam channel. This man has already given talks and read poetry to youngsters in various primary schools. I'm very delighted to have him here today. He goes by the name of Aukash Zahid.
Thanks a lot for having me, I really appreciate it. It's my first ever interview of this kind, and yeah, I'm a bit nervous but excited.
You look fresh today, my brother, trying to impress the ladies. Ha ha ha!
Oh, well, I'm glad you say that, to be honest, because I didn't have much sleep last night, but I like to stay in shape. I'm glad you think I'm looking sharp.
So, let's start off by talking about your childhood. As you started writing poetry from just 15 years of age, can you please tell us a little about your upbringing and education?
Yeah, it was interesting. I actually grew up in north of the country in Huddersfield, Yorkshire, and I had a nice childhood. I wouldn't say it was fun. I didn't get up to much. I was a really shy, reserved kid. I didn't have many friends, unfortunately, and I wasn't the most intelligent of kids either. But when I was 6 or 7 years old, my family moved to Cambridge, and that's when, as I grew older, I realised that my confidence had become a really big issue for me, and there was a huge holdback in my life. But when I was 15 years old, I discovered my talent, that's what they say anyway, my talent in poetry, and from then on my life changed. I grew in confidence as well, and it really improved my life in general. And so educationally I haven't had any, you could say, extraordinary achievements, but ever since I got into poetry, that's all I ever thought about.
In your media interviews, you said how everyday life is your source of inspiration. Please elaborate on this.
Yeah, I'm not the sort of person who sits down and then tries to think of a poem. I might be driving or I might be in the shower and an idea might just pop in my head. There's 8 billion people on the planet who have a different story to tell, so that's where my inspiration comes from, and that's the people, the people who are going to read my work. They're my best source of inspiration.
Muhammad Ali is one of your greatest inspirations. What was it about his poem called Cassius Clay that motivated your creativity?
His poem Cassius Clay, it was very, you could say, self-confident. He bragged a lot in that poem, and that's what I loved about Muhammad Ali, was his confidence. He was everything that I wasn't. I went back when I was 15 and looking up to him so greatly. He just had so much self-belief and confidence that as a 15-year-old he was what I wanted to be like, and that inspired me to pursue my own career in poetry. Not just poetry, but just try to become the best that I can possibly be.
Please tell us about your brand new CD recently released. And if you were going to pick one of the poems, which would it be?
The CD, actually, I believe I got the offer for the CD in December 2014, and it was a huge surprise to me, actually, because although I'm published in 18 books, I never got such an offer. But once they told me they want my work on a CD, I was really surprised, and then they asked me what poem I'd like on, and I said I'd like to have my poem Smile on, purely because I think it's quite uplifting and a lot of people can maybe be inspired by it.
So Smile is one of your favorite poems that you have written. Have you ever experienced being bullied yourself?
Thankfully haven't. I've been quite lucky in regards to that. I've never been bullied or felt oppressed. But there are a lot of people out there who do go through hardship, whether it's because of bullying or whether it's because of their mental health problems. Because there's so many issues out there in the world now that everybody is oppressed in some way. But when it comes to bullying, thankfully I've had it easy.
Do you believe that struggles could make us into stronger human beings?
I don't believe, I know that struggles make us into stronger human beings. Even Muhammad Ali had 5 defeats in his life, and he's considered the greatest athlete ever. So for me, struggles is what makes us human. The fact that we go through hardship and then have to overcome it, and I think that's the best part of life.
When young people are experiencing struggles, what would you say is the best way to express their feelings?
I think it's best to open up about it and talk about it with somebody who you trust. If you keep things bottled up, it's just going to make matters worse. Whether you go to a doctor or your parents or your friends, you know, it's important you go and speak to someone about your struggles, whether it's in regards to your health or your well-being or your financial status. It's important you talk to people and try to come out of the situation that you're in.
You are a young man who has such a thought-provoking mind, and I wanted to ask you something random. Nowadays, we are experimenting with sophisticated futuristic technology. As I understand, institutions are considering to use devices like drones to deliver pizzas and so on. But how do you think we should be using these kind of technologies to help humanity?
Well, I think technology is great, you know, cars, trains, mobile phones, it's good, it's helpful, it's beneficial. But then again, technology can be used in the wrong way for like bombs, guns, so many violent weapons like that. That's when I think it's wrong. But in terms of transport and everyday life and the internet, I think it can be extremely beneficial. But we've got to be careful who we give the technology to. You know, if you give the internet to a 5-year-old, you know, God knows what they might get up to, what they might discover. So we've got to be careful what technology we feed to who.
Now, in the United Press, you made an extraordinary statement. I would like to be remembered as someone who spent his time and dedication, not just for himself, but for the whole of humanity. That's a very big statement for a young man to have. In your view, what's the best way for us all to make a difference in our communities?
Damn, you've done your research. That was the first ever newspaper that I was in. I think I was 15 years old at the time. I had just done my GCSE exam. So we're talking July 2012, I was just 15. So how you found that really amazes me. But yeah, I did say that and I still stick by it. You know, it sounds all Hollywood that I want to help people around the world, because the chances of that happening are slim, very slim. But I like to dedicate my time for others, because making myself happy isn't hard. You know, everything I earn or whatever I can do, I can spend that on myself. But I'm not a selfish person. I don't look at my own happiness. I like to help others, and for me, it's important to just go out your way and just try to bring a smile on somebody else's face.
Oh wow, this has been such a powerful interview. Your philosophy, Aukash, has blown me away, and I'm sure the viewers feel the same way too. Come on. Everybody, especially if you are a teenager or someone who needs inspiration, make sure you check out some of Aukash's latest poetry. He is one of the leaders of the next generation in my eyes.
Thank you very much. You know, you're extremely kind, and I'm just so surprised how, you know, we were just two strangers a week ago. Now we are here doing this interview, and you know, I've read your story as well, and I've seen you on YouTube, your interview on telly, and I'm amazed by everything you've achieved as well. So thank you very much.
Thanks. I am sure having people like yourselves helping society. People always say celebrities are rubbish, but I consider you as a celebrity. You don't have to reach fame to be considered as powerful. But because of the message and what you do, I think a lot of teenagers and humanity generally could be inspired by you. Respect for your time.
Thanks a lot. You know, I respect that you invited me, and you know, I'm really overwhelmed that you actually put all this effort into interviewing me. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, this is a poem I wrote when I was 16 years old called Smile, and it goes like so. A smile is an effortless gift to give and can improve someone's day. During tough times, a smile is the best thing to display. A smile can be used to hide your pain and your worries and tears. A smile can be used as a blanket to cover up your fears. A smile is your enemy's worst nightmare and your hater's most terrible sight. If ever in doubt or darkness, use your smile to make the room bright. So if anybody ever says you're not good enough and makes you feel miserable and grey, just keep your chin up and smile away.